Yeah. I just recorded half of this video and didn't hit record on the camera. So let's try again. Back in 1984, Gremlins were released in the theater, and everyone went crazy for Gremlins, Mogwais, and Gizmos. We couldn't get enough of them, and besides the movie, we got Gremlins merchandise. Let's take a look at them. Welcome back to the Junk Room again. It's me, the Junkman, coming back at you. What are we going to talk about today? Well, you already know. I mean, you saw the title, you saw the thumbnail, you saw the little teaser at the beginning, so I don't know why I'm acting like you don't know what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about merchandise from Gremlins. Remember Gremlins, released in 1984? Oh man, I loved this movie when it came out. Back in 84, when it came out that summer, I was obsessed with it. I wanted anything that was related to Gremlins. Well, I didn't want a gremlin. I wanted anything that was related to Gizmo or Mogwai. And I used to go to a pet store or a local mall and just hope back in the back there would be one. That someone just brought it into the shop, just like his dad found mysterious out of nowhere, and I would have it. Never did find one. I did, as an adult, find a sugar glider that kind of reminded me of finding something rare, because at the time I didn't know what a sugar glider was, and I bought it and called it Gizmo. Anyway, that's kind of like a flying squirrel, so we're not talking about that. We're talking about Gremlins. Now, they did do a sequel about 6 years later, and to be honest with you, although I've seen it and I do remember liking it, it just, 6 years was a little too long. I mean, I was about 11 when the first one came out, and probably getting closer to 20 by the time the other one came out. And it just, you know, I needed to see it as a kid. I needed a sequel within a year or two after the first one, but I didn't get it. But along with the movie in the summer came a bunch of merchandise. Now, sadly, we didn't get an action figure line. Well, we kind of did. I mean, we got some Gremlins and we got Gizmo, if you can call them action figures, but we didn't get an official action figure line. We didn't get the Billy guy. I think his name was Billy. And we darn sure didn't get Phoebe Cates. My 80s sucked. Why didn't I get a Phoebe Cates action figure? I would have killed for that. Or maybe a Fast Times at Ridgemont High playset. That would have been awesome. Anyway, let's look at some Gremlins merchandise. And we're going to start with those LJN figures. First up, we have a 3-pack of figures right here. They don't really do much. They're more kind of like PVC. But you have Gizmo, the cute little Mogwai. Sorry, someone outside is honking the horn while I'm trying to make my video. Let me try that again. It's got a little Gizmo, and of course it's got the Mogwai stripe that gets wet and turns into that big ugly gremlin. I don't see how something goes from so cute to so darn ugly. It reminds me of this girl I dated back in maybe the 5th grade. Oh, she was so cute. And then I didn't see her anymore until about the 9th grade when she came back to our school. And whew, let's just say it looks like someone got her wet and fed her after midnight because she turned into a gremlin. Let's see what else we got. And here's a bendable action figure of Stripe. You can twist him and turn him into 100 different poses. There were a bigger figure of Gizmo released. That's pretty cool. I didn't know about this thing as a kid, and if I did, I would have begged for this thing. Although those big eyes might would have spooked me out. It's a posable Gizmo with movable head and arms. Also from the big line was a posable Gremlin, or Stripe. Oh, I don't know if I would have bought this one. It's a little too ugly for my taste, especially back in 1984. In the figure line, we got Gizmo. There he is, and his head moves and his arms move. And right there on the package is that kid Billy, which I don't think I've ever seen in anything else. There was a couple of wind-up toys also released. You had the Gremlins wind-up toy of Stripe. And believe it or not, he comes sitting on a bar stool, smoking a cigar and drinking. Wind him up and watch him drink and smoke his cigar. Yeah. A toy in the 80s, you could watch the toy smoke a cigar and drink a beer. Oh, I miss the 80s. And you also had a wind-up Gizmo, wind him up and watch him walk across the floor. Now, one thing that was really popular for sure was stuffed animals. I mean, how can you have something as cute as Gizmo and not release stuffed animals of it? Let's take a look. Well, you'd think that this would be the one thing they would make sure was right. Cute and cuddly. But to be honest, this thing is more creepier than a gremlin itself. I'd much rather cozy up with a gremlin than this freaky looking thing. Also released from the Gremlins 2 line was Transforming Gremlins. These were stuffed animals. You could twist them around and they would go from Mogwai to Gremlin. You'd think that's the one thing they would get right, the stuffed animals. But they're probably more scarier than anything. Now, after seeing Gremlins in the summer of '84, you went back to school in September with the Gremlins merchandise. You were all decked out. Lunchboxes, backpack, erasers, pencils, you name it. Let's take a look. There was no better way to express yourself as a kid than going to school with a lunchbox to let everyone know, hey, this is what I'm into. And you could have went to school with the Gremlin lunchbox. And here's Gizmo not only on the lunchbox, but also on the thermos. And they had to stick that little Billy Kid in there also. But I would have preferred to have Stripe. And then you have 5 pencils you could have taken to school, and they came with a free eraser. Not only that, you get another eraser that says Gizmo and has a picture of a little box on it. And a warning to never ever feed them after midnight. Once you got your Gremlins pencil, you had to have something to write in, and you had Gremlins notebooks. The notebooks even come with quotes from the film, although it seems both notebooks have the same quote. Don't ever get him wet, keep him out of the light, and never feed him after midnight. That's the same warning I got when people found out I invited Tubby Todd over to spend the night at my house one Sunday night back in 1986. Although they might not be technically school supplies, you had to buy yourself puffy stickers. You would put these things on anything. Notebooks, books, book bags, on your desk, on your locker, wherever you could put a puffy sticker, you would put it. And for some reason, there's Gizmo sitting on top of a UFO, and another one, he's inside the UFO. I don't recall a UFO even in the movie. And then you had to put your notebook and pencils into something, so you had your Gremlin backpack. And the star of the movie, Gizmo, right there on the front. I know everyone says Baby Yoda is so cute, but that's because they didn't grow up in 1984 and see Gizmo, which is 10 times cuter than any ugly Baby Yoda. And you wanted to put your pencils into something so they didn't break, and you had a pencil bag. Remember pencil bags? When's the last time you needed to buy a pencil bag for yourself? I bet it's been a pretty long time. There was also a couple of erasers that you could stuff into that pencil bag. Now this one's a sticker, and that's not really technically a school supply, because but if you bought a 4-pack of the Family Scott toilet paper, you could get a free sticker from Gremlins inside. Actually, you get 2 stickers inside. There's a total of 4 sets to collect. I tell you what I wish I could have bought, a box of X-Lac. Then I could have an excuse to buy all these toilet papers and get a full set of those stickers. Whew. So we looked at figures, we looked at school supplies, we looked at toilet paper, looked at ugly, creepy stuffed animals. What else do we have to look at? How about games? Let's play Gremlins. First up, you have a Colorforms Adventure set. I love Colorforms. Again, I'm bummed they never did a Star Wars Colorforms. Don't tell me, but they did Presto Magic. It's the same thing. No, it's not even close to the same thing. But here's a Colorform Adventure from Gremlins. They also did a Colorform 3D hologram stickers. Man, this is freaky looking. And I can't remember these hologram stickers. I don't think I ever had any, because if I did, each one would have been stuck on my Trapper Keeper. And what about the Atari 2600? Any cool movie had to have a cool video game, like E.T. Well, here's Gremlins on the 2600. That's the box, and here's the gameplay. I don't even know who that's supposed to be. I played this game once over at Buddy's house, and it's horrible. People always criticize the E.T. game, but I promise you, this is a lot worse than the E.T. game. Don't get me wrong, the E.T. game sucks. It was hard to play. You didn't really know what was going on. You kept falling down a hole. But this, you didn't even know what to do. You didn't even know what was going on. And it didn't remind you anything of the movie Gremlins. Now this one doesn't really fit in the game category, but we're going to talk about it now anyway. You know, kids today, they have their iPad. Well, this is what we had back in the 80s. The Magic Slate. Remember these? You could take the little pen and draw all over them, lift up the little plastic sleeve, and it would disappear and you could write on it all again. Man, I had so many of these. This one here is from Gremlins 2, the new batch, but they probably did one for Gremlins and about any other things you can think of, except Star Wars. Never saw one for Star Wars. Now, in 1984, there was one thing that I probably loved a little bit more than Gremlins, or right about the same level. That was a Hardee's hot ham and cheese, and I still love them today. If you've never been to Hardee's or on the West Coast, Carl's Jr., get yourself a hot ham and cheese. It's so good. But when I went to get that hot ham and cheese in 1984, I also could collect Gremlins books. These remind me of the read-along books that come with a record, but these didn't come with a record. You had to actually read them. Boring! I don't think I ever completed my full set. I know I had this one and a few others. Story 1, The Gift of the Mogwai. And here's an ad advertising the books. And I was wrong, they did come with records. I really don't remember having a record with it. I guess it did come with a record after all. I could just edit myself out being a fool, but you guys probably like to laugh at me. Sadly, you didn't get these free when you got your food. You had to pay 89 cents. Speaking of food, Gremlins cereal. You know I was going to talk about it. Here it is, Gremlins sweetened cereal. And it came with free Gremlin stickers inside. Now, I can understand why they called it Gremlins. That was the name of the movie, but they should have called it Gizmo. That just seems like a better name for cereal. Gizmo's cereal. It just sounds right. Well, you got your school supplies, you've got your video games, you got your color forms, you got your figures, you got your ugly dolls, you even got your toilet paper. What if you wanted to eat Gremlins? Yep, you could eat Gremlins. Even eat Mogwais, I believe. Let's take a look. Here are the Gremlins candy-filled containers. They were like little gremlin heads, or Mogwai heads, and inside was hard candy. They also did this for Gremlins 2 with a different type of head. If that wasn't cool enough, you could buy a gumball machine of Gizmo and make him look like he's shitting a rainbow. And of course, every movie had to have trading cards. Here's from Gremlins 2, the new batch, but I'm sure they did trading cards for the first movie. Again, you all decked out with your Gremlins merchandise in 1984, but you're still not completely happy. You have to show everyone you love the Gremlins movie. Well, Gremlins clothes. There was no better way, because your parents couldn't say, don't take that toy in the car, or don't take that to school. It didn't matter. Just throw on a shirt or a Halloween costume, and you could tell the world, I love Gremlins. You could also tell them you love Ghostbusters. Here's a little kid dressed up like Stripe in his Gremlin Halloween costume, but he's going to put the candy in a Ghostbusters bag. I don't know why this kid's bringing a bag with him to go trick-or-treating. All you need to put your candy in was a pillowcase. That's all we ever used, a pillowcase. But this kid was fancy and had to give him a little plastic bag. What if you want to deck yourself and your room out with Gremlins? Well, you could get this shirt here that has Gizmo on a backpack on the front of your shirt. If that's not awesome, I don't even know what is. And you have bed sheets and pillowcases with the Gremlin on it. And if you're going over to sleep at a friend's house, you got a Gremlin sleeping bag. But before you head over to sleep at your friend's house, you can put all of that inside this Gizmo Gremlin Slumber Mate. Although this wasn't made by LJN, it does have the LJN rainbow. I think LJN needs to sue someone. But according to the box, what could you put in this Gremlin bag? A sleeping bag, pajamas and underwear, slippers and socks, toothpaste and toothbrush, comb and brush, washcloth, towels, and soap. What kid is going to spend a night at his friend's house with slippers? No kid is wearing slippers. You just get laughed out of the school the next day when you come back to school. You don't bring slippers with you. And honestly, let's be honest, at least for the boys, you don't bring your own washcloth and towel and soap either. You don't take a bath when you're at your friend's house. Okay? You rugged men, you're hanging out there, you're getting dirty and smelly. I don't know about the girls. I didn't never go spend a night at a girl's house, so I don't know. And what about a comb and a brush? Why do you need both? A comb and a brush. I don't even know what the difference is. Why do you need both? Anyway, that's a look at some weird, crazy, or just average Gremlins merchandise released in 1984, and some from the sequel film also. Let me know, did you love the movie Gremlins? Did you see it in 84? Did you think Mogwai? Did you think Gizmo was the cutest thing ever? Or did you hate Gremlins? Were you that kid that had to be too cool for the classroom and be like, I hate it, when everybody else said they loved it? I bet there's some of you out there that will say you hated it, although you probably didn't. You probably watched it every day when it was on HBO and then would tell everybody how much you hate it. I know there's people like that out there. I know some of them. Anyway, I want to thank you for watching. Thumb up so you like my content. Subscribe to the channel. And don't get me wet after midnight.
Hey, Junkman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.